This video outlines in short, the steps of creating and submitting a substantial modification clinical trial application, or SM. It presents how to select the scope of an SM, how to populate the mandatory fields, such as the reason, and how to modify other fields, data, or documents, and how to submit an SM. In the summary page, sponsor users can create and submit an SM for a clinical trial by clicking on the Create button on the right-hand side. Sponsor users can create and submit an SM for a clinical trial if there is no pending decision on any other application for that trial. Few exceptions are described in detail in the FAQ sheet of this module. In this example, an authorized trial is used. You can select the type of the SM application that you wish to create a draft for. In this example, the single trial SM type is selected. In the pop-up window, you need to select the scope of the SM to activate the Create button. If you select, as scope of the SM, the Part 1 only, you will create a draft of the application and you will be able to make changes on any section of the application, except Part 2. If you select, the Part 2 only, you will need to select the member state concerned, or MSC, for which you want to submit a substantial modification. You will be able to select only one MSC at the time for the SM, with only Part 2 in scope. This means that you cannot modify the Part 1, and that you will be able to modify only Part 2 for the selected MSCs. If you select the Part 1 and Part 2 scope, multiple MSCs can be selected at the same time. Use the tick-in box to specify if you wish to make changes to the dossier as part of the SM. This functionality is applicable for substantial modifications of any scope. After selecting the two MSCs, use the Create button. In the draft you can modify any of the 4 CTA sections. In the Form section, use the Padlock button to be able to insert changes. The asterisks indicate the mandatory fields. Use the Add Document button to upload the cover letter in the respective document placeholder. Below, you need to upload a document in which you will describe all the modifications on the dossier that you will submit with this SM application. Below you may use the free text field, or the document placeholder, to populate additional supporting information. Then, you need to populate the reason for the SM. Click on the field, and a drop-down list will appear. You may choose multiple values for the SM reason. By selecting particular reasons, more fields to be completed will appear below. For example, if you select the Restart Trial reason, you will need to indicate the anticipated trial restart date in the MSCs. On the right side, click on the SM Scope field. A drop-down list will appear, and will allow you to indicate the parts of the dossier that will be impacted by this SM. In this example, data on the CTA form, changes to documents, as well as specific fields or documents on Part 1 and Part 2, can be modified. Therefore, the respective boxes are ticked in. By selecting the reason, Other, a new free text field appears below, and allows you to insert information for data fields that are not listed on the drop-down menu. You may modify the subsection for the proof of payment and the compliance with regulation. Deferrals cannot be modified. The padlock button is missing. In the MSC section, only changes on the fields of the anticipated number of the subjects for each MSC are allowed. You cannot remove any of the MSCs, and you cannot add any new MSC. The button Add Member States is inactive. An additional MSC can be added using a different type of application, the Add MSC CTA, not via a substantial modification CTA. In Part 1 and Part 2, data and documents can be modified as needed. And once completed, the application can be submitted. In this example, in the Trial Details subsection of Part 1, the title of the trial and the protocol document will be modified. Use the padlock, and open the Trial Identifier subsection, edit the text on the text field for the full title. Open the subsection Clinical Trial Protocol. Use the Update button document to upload a new version of the document, overwriting the previous one. By using the Update functionality for the document, you cannot change the title, but you must fill in the version field, as it is a mandatory field. You can use the Comments field for additional information. Click on the Update button. If you need to add a second document in this placeholder, you can use the Add Document button. By adding a new document, you must select the type of the document. Besides the regular document type, indicated by the placeholder, you may choose to upload an extract type, in case you want to upload an extract of the main document that has been updated as part of the SM. Below, in the protocol placeholder, you may see the modified document. You can also access the previous version of the document, using the drop-down feature, on the right side. You will be able to easily identify the subsections you modify, as they will have an exclamation mark next to each of them, provided that you populate the section's changes description. In this free text field, you can describe the changes that have been introduced with this SM. In Part 2, you can modify data and documents only for the two MSCs for which the SM for Part 2 will be submitted. The application cannot be modified for the third MSC. Once you modify the necessary data and documents, click on the Submit button, and select the parts of the application you want to submit. Click on the Confirm button. Review the Submit confirmation form, tick in the relevant box, and click on the Confirm button. A green message informs you that your substantial modification was submitted successfully. Back in the summary page of the clinical trial, scroll down to the Application and Non-Substantial Modification subsection, and you will see your substantial modification listed. You can view basic information for the substantial modification. Each MSC will issue a decision on the evaluation of any type of substantial modification, and this decision will be notified to the sponsor. Click on the plus icons to view the reason and the scope of the substantial modification. Click on the Info button to view additional information. You will also be able to identify the fields you modify, because they will be highlighted with a yellow rectangle. And, on the right side, you may see a blue tooltip as well. This video is part of the CTIS training program. For more information on how to create and submit a substantial modification, you may visit our training platform and our additional materials.